didn't waste any time with this one, did they? Matthew Knies is a Leaf! Matthew Knies is a beef! Matthew Knies, Matthew actual Knies! Wait, I just realized I've shouted his name a bunch of times and didn't tell you what happened. I'm excited! It says right here from reporter Chris, Matthew Knies signs a 6-year contract extension with the Toronto Maple Leafs, paying him $7.75 million per season. Is that a good deal? Now, I think you're asking the wrong question first. It's an important question, one definitely worth asking, and we're going to answer it, but here's the important thing. Is this player, who I enjoy very much, going to continue to play for my favorite hockey team? It always comes down to the dollars and cents and efficiency of the deal, and is this a fleecing, or is this a sweetheart deal, a hometown discount, or whatever? Yeah, all that's important, but I love this guy. Do you love this guy? I think we all love this player. I can't think of a Leaf fan I've ever spoken to who's like, yeah, I don't know about this Knies kid. Dude, when he first came to the Leafs, like right before the playoffs in 2023, we were all like, hey, these first few games, these are nice. That series against Tampa, this kid's nice. On that line with O'Reilly and Achari, time flies so fast. And that season was unfortunately cut short because it's just Sam Bennett. He flew into a hit with his fist up and he hit him in the head, and then he slammed his head onto the ice, and well, that'll teach Sam. He was suspended for no games. There is no justice. One day we'll all be worm food. But then the next season, his rookie season, Sheldon Keefe has Knies on a line with David Kampf and Max Domi, and we learned very quickly he should never do that again. Then in 80 games, he ended up being pretty good. 15 goals, 20 assists, 35 points. That is a solid rookie season. And by the end of those playoffs, he had 2 goals and an assist in 7 games. That's 3 points. He had 4 the year before, so he's a half a point a game performer in the playoffs. This past season, it didn't take Craig Berube very long to be like, I like this guy very much. In 78 games, he split the G with 29 goals and 29 assists. I love when a stat line lines up like that. That is 58 points. And with 5 goals and 2 assists for 7 points in 13 playoff games, a little above a half a point a game. He is also a 6'3", 227-pound nail gun. Zach Whitecloud completely blew him up and hurt him, and the league released a video about why that hit was okay. And the next time the Leafs played Vegas, oh, did Knies get his lick back. In a fight that made us go, oh, he throws left. He throws an abundance of left. Oh my God. I think he won. He won by a lot. He developed into a reliable power play presence and net front presence on that power play. He developed into a penalty killer for the Leafs as well. He is a goal scorer. He has a playmaking touch. He plays both special teams. He skates pretty good. He hits. He's willing to block pretty good. He'll fight if he has to and do pretty well during the fight. He's 6'3". That's big. He's 227 pounds. That's also big. He is 22 years old. Okay, that's enough. You don't have to keep selling me on this player. I already love him. Now, this 6-year deal gets done before July 1st, which is huge. Because he's an RFA, there's no urgency to get a deal done immediately, because unless there's an offer sheet, you can wait into the summer. You can take care of the unrestricted free agency market or trades just before free agency or just after free agency. You can take care of other matters first. But Knies is a very important part of this team, and let's be honest, you feel better now, don't you? I do. Speaking of offer sheets, was that ever an actual legitimate danger? I don't think so. Maybe? I don't think so, though. The fact that this got done before July 1st might indicate that the Leafs thought it was possible. But had Matthew Knies signed an identical contract as an offer sheet with another team, and the Leafs didn't match the offer sheet, the compensation the Leafs would have got was a first, a second, and a third. What if they offered him a little bit more, like 8? It still would have been a first, a second, and a third. And I think the Leafs matched that. The first, second, third tier cuts off at about $9.3 million. Anything more than that, you're looking at 2 firsts, a second, and a third. And if it's more than 11.7, it's 4 first-round picks. It was never going to be that. So is it a good deal? Well, let's take a look at some numbers. From producer Drew, looking at the Matthew Knies contract. Looking deeper at the Knies contract, he's now the 14th highest paid left wing in the league. 14th ranked left wing in points, 21st ranked left wing in points per game, 10th ranked left wing in goals at 29. Best comparable is probably Cole Caulfield, age and stats wise. So the $7.75 million is right in line with where he should be paid looking at the numbers. Will be a great deal if he improves on those numbers. Just wish they got 8 years instead of 6. So I agree, it would have been great to get him at 8 years instead of 6. I think Knies' ask at 8 years would have been way more than 7.75. Because this contract will walk him into free agency, but it also buys a year of unrestricted free agency. Half a decade from now, what is Matthew Knies going to be worth if he keeps chugging along at this rate? More than 7.75 if the cap keeps going up. He's setting himself up for a big payday. So to buy even 1 year of unrestricted free agency is pretty nice. Yeah, but he should have signed 8. Well, no, the Leafs should have tried. I would like him to sign for 8, but why do you want him to sign for 8? Oh, so he can be great value to the Leafs. No, I totally understand that. But like, what do you mean by great value? Like he'd be sort of underpaid, right? Yeah, no, I totally understand why the Leafs would want that, and also why I would want that, because I want the Leafs to do well. But you can see why Matthew Knies wouldn't want that though, right? Like the rumor about Mitch Mner, who we're going to talk about in a second, is he's going to sign a 4-year deal. Why would he do that? As the belle of the ball in free agency, that makes no sense. Until you realize in 4 years where the cap is going to be, if he keeps scoring at 100 points per season, he's going to end up getting like 15. 8-year contracts are going away in the new collective bargaining agreement, but I also think players are less inclined to sign them. Nylander signed one last year, but that was kind of before we knew the cap was going to explode, and also it was for $92 million total dollars. I think he'll be fine. Off the top of your head, who just signed an 8-year deal? Huh? What star player? That's right, Trent Frederick. Did the Oilers do well on that deal? I don't know. I guess we'll find out in 8 years. But you know who did really well on that deal? Trent Frederick. You know who's probably not getting 29 goals and 29 assists next year? Trent Frederick. You know who's not 22 years old? Trent Frederick. I wanted Knies at 8 as well, but 6 is pretty good. And we always say, like, when a player signs, oh, what if he's even better than the year before? And it's usually wishful thinking. With Knies, it's not. He's 22. All right, when the season begins, he'll be 23. He's got at least a few more seasons of continuing to grow. Heck, even if he hums along at 30-ish goals a season, 30-ish points a season, and continues to be a freight train, 200 feet of the ice, I think we're going to like this guy just fine. Anecdotally, I'm told Matthew Knies has one of the most popular jerseys in Leafs Nation, on a team that has been dominated by jerseys of Matthews and Marner and Nylander and Tavares and Riley for many years. Matthew Knies is the kind of hockey player we've all been told to love growing up. And now he's here. I love him. An honest game, doesn't take a shift off, tries his bag off every single shift. I will take that player on my hockey team every year for the next 6 years, please and thanks. What do you think of the deal? Let me know in the comment box down below, and don't forget to subscribe to the STPN YouTube channel, because holy cow, free agency, we're going to be making so much content, and we're going to do a stream at the end of it. Now, real quick, Mitch Mner. This is huge. Elliot Friedman led 32 Thoughts with this information, and I just want to tell you, the Chris Johnston Show, the CJ Show, brand new episode is going to come out tomorrow. I'm hoping noon-ish is when it comes out. So, it came out yesterday during the draft that supposedly the Leafs are working on a deal with the Vegas Golden Knights to send Mitch Marner's contract rights, like the rights to negotiate with him, to the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, this isn't unusual or uncommon. It happens all the time. Carolina did it with Jake Gensel. They had Gensel. He wasn't going to sign there. They traded his rights to Tampa. Tampa signed him to a huge deal. Last year, the Dallas Stars did it with Chris Tanev, and they traded Tanev to the Leafs, and he signs a huge deal. And you can sign an 8-year contract if you're traded to a team and you sign a deal before July 1st. You also don't have to. It just gives you a leg up negotiating with that player. The Leafs didn't sign Chris Tanev to an 8-year deal, thank goodness, but they got the player. Also, please let me just say I love Chris Tanev a lot, and I would take him for 8 years. It would just be a terrible idea. He'll be very old. Then Elliot says on the NHL Network that part of the deal coming back to Toronto is Nicolas Waugh, who's like a good player for the Vegas Golden Knights. Been watching him a lot in the playoffs over the years. Good player. A $3 million center, a right shooting center, which the Leafs don't really have, who has 2 more years left on his contract. That's super weird, right? Usually these deals, it's like draft picks. And like, not even like good ones. You're lucky to get like, I don't know, a third. What did the Leafs give up for Tanev? A sixth? The Leafs tried to trade Zach Hyman to the Oilers, and the Oilers told them to pound sand. So it's difficult to get value in these kinds of deals. So imagine my surprise when I hear the Leafs are getting a very useful roster player for a player's rights. I was delighted on account of losing Mitch Mner for nothing sucks a lot. They already made their bed with that a couple years ago when they let his no move clause kicked in. We've talked about that at length. But what Elliotte Friedman discussed is there are whispers around the NHL of tampering. And to that I say, you don't say! Dude, if you watch the podcast as well, I was talking about this. They're like, oh yeah, the favorites to get Marner are like the Vegas Golden Knights and the Dallas Stars. And I'm sitting there like, how do you know that? This isn't a few years ago when there was like a week or whatever it was before July 1st, and you could talk to pending unrestricted free agents. That happened with John Tavares. Remember, he was still technically with the Islanders, but it fell under that week, and he was able to talk to other teams, including the Leafs. And that way, on July 1st, guess what? He signs a deal with the Leafs. That's not the case anymore. If you're under contract with a team, any team, you can't talk to another team until noon on July 1st. Or it might not be noon, it might be midnight, whatever it is, you're not allowed to do it until July 1st. Not allowed, like wink, 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 a bunch of winks. We all know soft tampering goes on. What is it? I don't know. Guys text, guys talk over the phone, guys meet in person, GMs talk to agents, assistant GMs talk to agents, maybe coaches talk to agents, maybe players talk directly to management. Who knows? Ooh, players talk directly to other players. That's a big one. But what it sounds like is Vegas didn't mind their P's and Q's, and they flew a little too close to the sun. And the Leafs, it sounds like, have been trying to discuss this with Vegas amicably. And it sounds like that amicably has quickly turned into, listen, give us this player or we're going to go to the NHL and you're going to get fined. And you might be like, whatever, take the fine. No. This isn't a fine like what the Senators got a few years ago where, what was it? I think it was like a $250,000 and a first. No. This is a 7-digit fine. I'm not saying this is what happened here. I have literally no idea what happened here. But if an agent, any agent, were found to have tampered, they could lose their NHLPA certification. They could face other sanctions, but it's like up to that. It's a big deal. The player, in this case, Mitch Mner, might also face sanctions. Now that is only if the player or agent is guilty of any wrongdoing. Again, we don't know what happened here. And Elliotte wasn't accusing anyone of doing anything wrong, and I'm not accusing anyone of doing anything wrong. I have no idea, but it was discussed on 32 Thoughts, and if it's an actual thing, it's a scandal. It's a huge deal. I mean, listen, it's not real life. It's just hockey. It's just a game. There are more serious things going on, but in our silly little world of the NHL, it's a massive deal. And if I was telling you any team is getting looked at for tampering, and you were like, oh my God, who? Wait, is it Vegas? Of course you'd be right. Of course it's Vegas. Anyway, fascinated to see what happens there. We're going to be talking about it on the Steve Dangle podcast tomorrow, which we are recording it tomorrow. But before we record that, there is going to be a brand new episode of the Chris Johnston Show on the SDPN YouTube channel, on Apple, on Spotify, on all of it. You are not going to want to miss it. So, I can't really end that one with a question. What do you think happened? You don't know either. But with July 1st right around, and I mean right around the corner, we're all about to find out. So, my friend, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends to subscribe to SDPN, your place to be for all things NHL over the next few days and through free agency. Oh, and might I remind you, Matthew Knies is a Leaf!